I would like to read tonight from my novel about a minor character from the Christian Bible, a short text. Okay. Thank you. A short tax collector who climbs a tree to see Jesus when he comes to the town of Jericho. This is not a Christian novel. The character is a queer anarchist fighting the origins of farm corporatization. I'm going to read from the prologue. Thank you. Zacchaeus touched the dreaded palm tree. It was the tallest, the best one for seeing the entire neighborhood. This he knew. The palm cluster near the crumbling widow's wall had a taller tree, but he could not gain access to it. The sycamores were not tall enough, none of them. He knew his dusty neighborhood and beyond. Every wall, every dwelling with mud roofs, stick roofs, and even the rare stone roofs. Every area where the women gathered to discuss the quality of water. He knew the secret alleys where food was cooked on flat rocks by men who had no families. They would cook here for a few weeks, then mysteriously disappear, or perhaps die. He knew where the shadows began within the city walls, as the Creator swept daylight from each dusty corner, each foot-trodden path. Darkness intruded on Jericho with a finality suggesting light may never visit, not ever again. He touched the tree. Zacchaeus would climb it, as he did many days before sunset. Zacchaeus would climb. Even now, his older brother shadowed father at a safe, anonymous distance, waiting for Zacchaeus to peer above the horizon. Each family member had a role to play. His brothers, his sisters. Still, he hesitated. Neighborhood boys would see him. They would taunt him. They always did. He was shorter than the other 8-year-olds, shorter and thinner. Standing on even ground, they teased him for his size, but when Zacchaeus towered above them, riding the palm tree, the ridicule grew worse. They threw stones. Zacchaeus took 4 deep breaths, though he only needed 1. The other 3 were luxuries, the only type of luxury an impoverished son of Jericho could afford. He jumped as high as he could on the trunk, which was not high at all, considering his short legs and less than eager attempt. But it was high enough for Zacchaeus to wrap his bare feet around the base and begin inching skyward. Over time, he developed his own technique, fitting his slender legs in the palm grooves and hugging, dragging himself more than climbing. His legs were so calloused from this ritual, he barely noticed any new scratches. He climbed high enough to see into the windows of nearby homes, though he carefully avoided such intimacy. They wouldn't care. There was little to see but hungry people sitting in silence. He climbed high enough that unique smells were no longer identifiable, everything merging into a thick, humid stench, as if the city perspired, dripping off the day's labor. The city always stank of refuse and rotting, though Zacchaeus associated this smell so regularly with living, he would have not been able to recognize it as a scent, but merely as a fact of life. When he reached a height greater than the city walls, he tensed. It seemed deeply unfair to Zacchaeus that at the exact moment he climbed high enough to witness the glory of the Creator's devouring sunset, before he could pray one prayer for protection, they would spot him. Zacchaeus wanted to bask in the striped oranges and reds, the sun's many raindrops of gold and yellow soaking the rich farmland. Everything emerald was recolored, becoming gold-plated leaves and gold-plated crops. Even the yellow flowers bobbing in the field altered their hue. The small, dull homes dotting the landscape outside the Jericho walls now shimmered in light, as if hand-picked for this distinction. Every magnificent color and recoloring confirmed to Zacchaeus the Creator loved this land best. This was the land he had promised to Moses, and this was the land he had delivered. And although he hated his life, Zacchaeus loved Jericho. So he would have liked to spend more time observing the varied rooftops, the new-style homes, and the public buildings now appearing, influenced by that magic and fabled kingdom, Rome, a glorious city fathered by 2 wolves, though Zacchaeus did not understand the story as it had been told. How could wolves found a city? Equally, he could not fathom the concept of public buildings. They were homes, but without families inside. How is that a home? Mysterious, innovative Rome thrilled his burgeoning imagination. His eyes raced the perimeter of Jericho's walls, but a rock singing near to his head distracted his observations, reminding him of his obligation Upward he climbed. Monkey boy, monkey, freak boy. Zacchaeus' heart sank, as if he were surprised by their voices, but of course, he was not. He was only surprised he thought today would somehow be different.